On this special episode, we read Knives and Kisses by Aurelia Knight, and this is related to a different series, which I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not going to read the main series because the first book is like a psychologist like getting their client to cheat with them, and I'm not really here for that. I'm sure it might go into a different direction, maybe, but I'm just not here for it. But I have been reading some of the holiday side books in the stories because they're like loosely connected. I read the Christmas one, and so we're reading the Valentine's Day one for our special today.
Yep, we
Being
certainly are.
Being Valen Thorne has always been more than enough. The quarterback for my college team, the president of my fraternity, I'm male perfection. Strong, sharp, a little brutal. What more could you want? But most don't know I'm a deranged autosexual who gets off on watching myself get off. Human beings aren't supposed to be props for my amusement, or a tool to find the best position to admire myself from. Still, they line up for the task while being promised they would never mean more to me than cheap sex. Satisfaction was my natural state of being until Cece crashed my Valentine's Day party. Except for the occasional violent outbursts, I didn't need or want anyone but me. Then I learned a life-altering truth. I'm not the most interesting person on the planet. Cece is a pretty goth girl obsessed with a play I don't care about, but I'm obsessed with her. I need her in a way I don't understand, want her more than I thought possible, and don't care that she hates me. I'm making this one Valentine's Day she'll never forget.
So, this book contains graphic, violent, and sexual content. And here are some of the content warnings: dub/non-con, murder, mentions of mental health topics, breath play, stalking, extreme exhibitionism, knife and blood play, physical threats, and coercion.
In a continuation of Murder and Valentine's Day, here we are. Knives and Kisses.
The best part about this is we're eating, and this is a special.
Oh, fuck. I forgot. We haven't done that in
Honestly,
a while.
you've forgotten everything. So, what
Let me
else
tell
is
you, January has been an entire year, and just this week has been an entire month.
yeah,
So
I'm well aware. So,
I almost did my job today
yeah.
for about 15 minutes.
Well, that would have been a nice 15 minutes.
Yeah.
What are you eating?
Subway.
Nice.
My son, kudos to him because he did a great job. He was like, "But mom, we have leftovers at home." And I said, "Listen, any other day I would appreciate that because great. 2025, we should be being frugal, all the jazz. And plus we're poor anyways, but number two, I need this today. Do not take this from me. I need all of this bread."
Yeah, I said McDonald's. Now, I will be so real. I had a couple of moments where I was 100% sure certain things in the book were happening. But then things took me a little by surprise. Just the way that I think it was just the way that it went in certain spots. I wasn't like,
I'm very interested to hear this because I felt like it was pretty straightforward for me.
no, it was, but I think I wasn't expecting as unhingedness as
You know
what
what?
ended up happening.
But I read the Christmas one.
So I did not.
Yeah.
I also must have forgotten the blurb, or I
And
don't
not only
think
that,
we read
but I
it.
did tell you all about the Christmas one. Remember? It was the guy who dressed up as Santa Claus at the
Yep.
mall
Hmm.
and then just murdered everyone.
Yeah, so
You murdered the original Santa at the
I
mall and
forgot all about
filled in
this,
for
but
him.
then again, my life has also been in the shithole for the last month. So, um, so that happened. And then I also forgot that this was set in college. So that also threw me off because I was like, wait, we usually don't read college.
No, but we did
Um,
talk about that ahead of time.
so, and again, I forgot because life has not
That
been
they're
so kind to
seniors,
me.
yeah. Yeah.
The dedication says that this book is dedicated to anyone who has ever gotten shit for loving themselves a little too much and anyone who needs to love themselves a little more. You are enough, which is a great thing, but then also a real really wild opening to whatever the fuck happened in this book. Our FMC is Cece, and she is currently practicing for a play that is coming up. And again, I said I didn't realize that this book took place in college. So, welcome to a college romance, guys. It was interesting. And she is yelling at her friend Corey, who keeps screwing up his lines for Romeo and Juliet. He is Romeo. As they are practicing, the theater door opens, and the professor has walked in, and she's letting them know that unfortunately, Romeo and Juliet is canceled. The dean just called them, and the football team has officially moved up to D1, which is just a rank for football, guys. Don't worry. I mean, it's a big deal. NFL scouts, blah blah blah. And Valen Thorn, which by the way, what a name! Remembering now that this is a Valentine's Day book, and his name is Valen Thorn, it's a little on the nose. And he has been fielding scouts, so they need the stage.
For the Christmas one, the guy's name was Klaus. Klaus.
Of course, it was. Valen Thorn has been fielding scouts, so they need the stage for the awards ceremony on Saturday. And even though the show was supposed to be on Saturday, and they have been practicing
Could they
this.
cancel mine on Saturday?
I know, right? I thought about that the whole time. I was like, oh, poor Ariel. She probably
It's
wishes
hitting a
there's.
little too close to home while I read
Yeah,
this.
yeah, it was, huh?
We have a
Uh,
performance tomorrow and a festival next week.
yep. So, but they have been practicing this for months. So she is rightfully pissed off because this is in 4 fucking days. And Cece is like, so now my show is canceled because of some quarterback that needs his fucking party before he even gets picked. This is absolutely ridiculous. The university has been on a downhill path ever since the football team had won the playoffs, and Valen is just a pretty boy jock who loves himself so much, and her dreams are now crushed. Of course, the school has been moving further away from the theater arts and is really starting to back the sports department a lot more, but this does not sit well with her, and her anger starts to morph into just complete and absolute fucking hatred for Valen. The only options that are going to be available is like a Tuesday or a Wednesday when they come back from fucking vacation. And like, who wants to go to a show on a Tuesday in April?
And also, her show is sold out. And now, what does that mean? And I just want to point out that you called him Valen, so that's what triggered me for a second. Never do they call him Valen. They call him Valen Thorn almost every single time.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
No, I know, but
Yes.
it's just
I didn't even think of that. Oh well. Yeah. They specifically also put this play on Valentine's Day to sell out their tickets because we all know that dudes want to, fuck girls that they bring to Shakespeare. It's like, I brought you to this lovely play. Now bang me. That's
well, it's
not how
like
that
Romeo and
works.
Juliet. Isn't that a love story? Aren't we a love story?
Yeah.
Let's go to this for a date, you know?
Yeah, but seriously, no one's gonna fucking care about Romeo and Juliet on a random Tuesday in April now. So this is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And after thinking about it more, she tells Corey, you know what? Learn your lines, because this show still going to be on Saturday.
Corey is her best friend
Oh
and
yes.
also
And he's
Romeo.
so yeah, I mentioned the Romeo part before. I forgot to mention that this is her best friend. I have thoughts. Stupid man. Anyways, but this show still going to be on Saturday. So don't even worry. Her plan is, she's going to get it taken care of. And she storms out and heads towards her dorm because she is planning on dressing up and looking smoking hot and then confronting this stupid man on his own turf, which is the frat house. She's never gotten an invite inside before, but he is the president of the stupid frat, and their mansion sits right in the center of the north end of the campus. She makes it back to her building, to her room, and she shares a dorm with a cheerleader named Katie, who is actually a very nice person. She lets her know that Romeo and Juliet got canceled for an award ceremony, which Katie knows about the awards, but she didn't put two and two together about the play getting canceled and everything. Because again,
How they
Katie
would
is
do
not.
that in the auditorium,
Yeah,
right?
because, she is a cheerleader, so she knows all this stuff. Cece tells her that she has a fucking bone to pick with Valen, so she is going up there. Katie tells her, kind of slash just warns her that they're having a party tonight. And of course, this is a little inconvenient to Cece, but oh well. She dresses up in this cute little pastel goth outfit, ready to rock the fucking party. They are having a Valentine's Day party.
Isn't that like an oxymoron?
I think goth, like, not really, because it's still going to be like the style. It's just going to be a different color.
I
I could see.
guess.
I
It
don't
just
know.
seemed kind of
I
the
think there's another word
it
for it.
just
Like I think there's another like word style for it,
it
but
just came seemed like the opposite point of goth.
I don't know. I didn't fucking
No.
read that far into it. Just pastel goth, okay? So, anyways, so this Valentine's Day party, which is 4 days before actual Valentine's Day. When she gets there, she feels very overdressed because obviously everyone is dressed very sluttily because it's a Valentine's Day party and it's at a frat house. People are dancing and drinking, but she is also a little shocked that it's not like dirtier inside of this frat than she would assume. She does end up actually drinking and she gets pretty drunk. And that's when she sees him standing at the top of the stairs with his stupid best friend behind him. She came here to save her show, but staring at him, she thinks she needs to admit to herself that she actually came for revenge. Cool story. He keeps staring at her. And he starts walking down the stairs, and she is still so angry that she wants to tear his face off. He approaches her and asks her if this is her first time at a Kappa party, and she says, "Obviously, this is not my scene." He goes, "Oh," and she calls him Valen, like she says his name. Oh, so you know who I am. Cece says, "I know exactly who you are." And Valen tells her, "Well, that's going to make this very easy." And she's a little confused because she has no idea. And he just says, "Oh, fucking you." I'm like, "Okay, sounds great." And then she throws her drink on him, which I also would do because are you kidding me? She also gets a little bit on her too, and well, probably a good amount. And she screams at him and says, "This is all your fault." And of course, he thinks that Cece is talking about the drink spilling. And she's like, "No, I'm talking
Because
about
why would he know what she's talking about?
exactly." Cece's drunk though, so like she's not all fucking there in the head right now. She's like everything else that you fucked up for me, and now people are fucking staring. Jaden, his stupid friend, tells her that she should not have done that, and grabs her upper arm and starts to drag her forward. She starts yelling at him, "Fuck you. My play is canceled because of you. I've been working my entire life and it's ruined because you need another fucking party." Valen has no idea what she is talking about. And he even tells her, "Dude, I don't even know your name." She's like, "It's Cece." He doesn't say dude, but she's like, "It's Cece. Now let go of me." He tells her, "I don't think so. You made a mess and you are going to clean it up." He will not let go of her. And she ends up slapping him across the face. He cannot believe that she just did this. And he starts to yank her behind him. And she's really putting up a fucking fight. And of course, nobody around her is stopping this from happening. And she's keeps refusing to move. So he just picks her up. And then he informs her that she is going to clean him up. And then, if he's feeling forgiving, she will explain what play she is talking about and maybe even what the fuck she was thinking coming into this frat and making a scene. He then tosses her over his shoulder and she yells at him to put her down. He also calls her Cupcake instead of Cece, which I guess he calls her Cupcake a lot. They make it to his room and he closes the door and locks it. He asks her why she is so pissed, and Cece tells him that it's all your fault. There's nothing else to say at all. And she also asks him why he is pissed because he also looks visibly angry. And she's like, "It was just a drink and a slap." But apparently, he is angry because she is so pretty. Of course, he tells her this after he fucking like yanks her up to him and kisses her. And this is also when she realizes his entire bedroom is covered in mirrors.
It should be noted that she is also not used to people being like super attracted to her either because she's a bigger girl and she's used to being told like, "Oh, well, you're pretty." for a fat girl, or you're like, oh, this or that or anything. It's always there's always some kind of caveat to it, or it's never she's never outright been, but he is like,
Yeah. But yeah, no,
no,
he is
you
like
are.
all about this shit.
He's obsessed, right?
He likes to watch himself fuck other people. That is through the description. And he tells her that she is going to suck his cock to apologize for her outburst and to thank him for hearing her out. He tells her that if she wants to be a star so bad, she can get on her knees and they will both enjoy the show. And then he pushes her down with her throat because he is like, boop.
Well, she's basically like, you don't even know my name. Like, you keep calling me Cupcake because you can't even bother to learn my name.
Mm,
And he goes, yeah, C
cupcake.
Cupcake, duh. I am calling you your name.
So then he pushes her down with her throat so she is on her knees and he takes his cock out and he tells her, after he smacks her in the face with it, to not hit people unless she wants to get hit back. So Cece tells him, don't put your cock in my mouth unless you want it bitten off. And then he forces the head of his cock against her front teeth and tells her that she is the most beautiful thing he has ever seen, including himself. And he is
And he's angry about this.
so mad about it that he is considering choking her to death. So she better suck his cock and prove that she's worth keeping, even if she puts him to shame. So she decides to be a good little slut and opens up her mouth and sucks his dick. And as he is getting his dick sucked, he tells her, I wanted to do this downstairs, but I thought it was more important for you to see, to really learn your lesson. And of course, she's also wondering why he is so mad about the blowjob. And he says, it's because I can't stop staring at you and I only ever watch myself, which is a little concerning.
I want to be watching myself in the mirrors, but I'm just can't stop looking at you, and that is a problem.
So crazy. So he finishes in her mouth and she tells him, I hate you more than you could ever hate me. And she leaves. All of this throws Valen for a loop and he stares after the door long after Cece has left, even to the point where he falls asleep and then wakes up the next day, still staring at the door, wondering what the hell even happened the night before. Because normally, he wakes up, looks at himself in the mirror, and thinks he looks fantastic. But something is a little different today. His reflection is not turning him on, which is honestly, it's not because he's a narcissistic asshole, even though I think he is. He just he's an autosexual, so he
Well,
is more attracted.
he's not saying he's not one. He's just saying that that's not the main reason of why.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and he's just more attracted to watching himself fuck other people and then, the other person. So basically, yes, he's sexually attracted to himself, but he is straight. He just has a really complex relationship with sex and dating, and he never used to have crushes, but everything changed after looking at Cece, and it makes him really fucking mad. And it really just fucked up his whole life. His stupid friend Jaden is there. I don't know why I keep calling him that.
So, well,
Like
listen,
him.
because he was outside the door when Cece went in the room and left the room, and now he's still outside the door in the
And
mornings. Did
he's
he just
banging
stay
her.
out there all night? Did he
Probably.
just like stay guard outside
I mean, I wouldn't put it
Valenthorne's
past
door,
him.
Valenthorne's door all night?
Maybe.
Like, what is
I'm
this?
not calling him that this whole time. That's such a wild.
It's all I read in my head, so that's all he
I know,
is.
I know. And Jaden is there and asking him, what the hell was that? Like, she threw a drink at you and smacked you in front of everybody. And normally he doesn't tolerate that. But
There needs to be some sort of punishment for her or
yeah,
something.
Valen tells him that he doesn't even know. But he is going to be seeing her again. And he really does not want Jaden to badmouth her at all. He wants nobody to badmouth her. So he decides he needs to find out where she lives. At least he knows her name. So that's great.
Something.
And then he just like gets this thought in his head of like thinking about other people potentially breathing near her. And it makes him really, really angry. And then he's like, oh, and the multiple cocks that have been
I was gonna say,
inside
then
of
he
her.
spirals and to
Yeah,
the
because
breathing
like
to
obviously
then
she did a
kissing her
great
or
job, like,
sleeping with her or yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
he's thinking about the blowjob and how good she was. And so all of these people
That
need to die.
obviously requires practice.
Yeah, all of these people need to die, and everyone in the world with eyes needs to die. But he thinks that, you know what, he really needs to lay down a little bit before. So he takes out his phone, checks social media. There's pictures and posts from the party, but there's nothing about their altercation. So,
He has his people trained too well.
yeah. 3 hours later, he dresses in clothes that he took from Jaden's closet and he walks across the campus. This,
Which is confusing because wasn't he in his own room with the mirrors?
yep, yep.
So why would he need to take clothes from Jaden's closet?
I think he just didn't want to be dressed the way that he normally dresses. Like, this is also a man who dreams
Oh, that's
about
right.
putting,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
yes,
It was because he didn't own anything like that. He needed to be incognito.
yes, because this is a man who dreams of putting his pictures up of himself in his pro jersey on the wall beside the mirrors so that he can also look at himself while he
I
fucks.
forgot for a
But
second. Yeah.
he really, really wants to find this woman. So he walks across to the women's gym, which is the first time for everything for him. And everyone kind of like looks at him.
The first woman who walks up to him was a woman he
Oh,
had
got
slept
you.
with, and he couldn't remember her name because he doesn't actually remember those people because they're inconsequential.
Yeah.
But the people who he's allocated in boxes that are not meant for sexual use and not that are just useful to him, he actually remembers their names because they're categorized as useful. So he kind of bypasses the one he can't really remember her name that's trying to get his attention because, hey, you want to hook up again? And which he does not do, by the way. And goes straight to Katie because he at least knows her name and recognizes her.
Yeah. And Katie clocks him and asks if he needs anything. And he tells her no. Her tone, like she changes
Yeah.
the
All
tone
of a
of
sudden,
voice.
she was like, "You need to leave her
You need to
alone,"
leave
and he was
Cece
like,
alone
"Whoa."
because and he goes, how do you fucking know Cece? Cece's her roommate. And she had come home last night because of him crying. And this was all after Cece had told her that she needed to confront him about ruining her play. And so she asks him, what did you even do? Because nobody will tell her. Valen tells her that he didn't do anything to her. She was just upset and he just wants to check on her. Valen asks Katie what her full name is, and some girl also fucking ends up insulting Cece, calling her like a fat. And Katie defends her, and I love Katie for that. And he also does as well. And Katie then tells Valen that he needs to very much leave Cece alone, but he says, I am not going to leave her alone. And instead, this man goes and finds a sleazy dude named Kevin. Who will take a bribe to change all sorts of things in the university system, so finding Cece should not be too difficult.
He works in the admin's office.
Yeah. We learn that her parents are deceased and they gave her a grant. Her brother is also in an inpatient facility and he's declared mentally incompetent and that Cece does not have much money either. All we know is that her brother is older and something happened after a party and there were drugs involved. Also, did we learn any more about that? Is that all we got? Okay, sounds great.
I'm assuming that is the part that connects them to the
To
whole
other books.
world.
Got you. Okay.
But also the people from the other book. So it was a girl and that was finishing up in college in the other book. She was a senior in college and she goes to the same college, obviously, because I'll tell you in a minute.
Mhm.
But they connect because they have the same, the man has the same therapist as the one in the first book that is the main character.
Got you.
But I know, so there's a cameo of them in this book for like a half a line later on because when you get to the towards the end and Katie is saying, "Oh, I'm here with so and so. We're trying to get in."
Got
That's
you.
them.
Okay. Got you. Gotcha.
But
Okay.
that's the only. It's just a slight little mention. It doesn't mean anything for if you don't know.
Got you. Okay. He also learns that Cece has booked the auditorium this afternoon, which is not part of her normal schedule. And, maybe he can just surprise her at the auditorium. Of course, Valen knows that this dude is super scummy, but he is currently on a mission. And
He's useful, so he's going to hold on to him.
Yep. So he heads over towards the auditorium, and he also keeps thinking that he's never felt so possessive of a person because normally all of these people just like look like X's and O's. So like on a play sheet for football, but Cece broke him. So he heads into the theater and stands off to the side of the stage, and he is watching the cast stand around her, and he's feeling very self-obsessed and useless as people have accused him of being because how did he even forget to ask anyone about the thing that brought her to him in the first place? Her play. He sees a guy put an arm.
Including her. He didn't ask her either.
No, nothing. He sees a guy put an arm around her and he pull her tight, and this does not make him very happy. And he overhears them discussing about the ceremony, and then it all clicks in place in his head, and he realizes, shit, I stole her spotlight. And she already told me herself that it was all my fault. And he says to himself, good, you little bitch, because you stole mine, and I will never get it back. Like, the fucking mental gymnastics this man does. He hears Cece say that she has a backup plan, and this makes his cock twitch just hearing her there. It's just her tone of like, she's like, I have a plan though. And then he hears this dude he does not like say, look, I love you, but I don't think you can pull this off because how dare this man doubt what is his, which would also be him by extension.
And
Yes.
don't you know, he is literally the gift that keeps on giving. He is the greatest
Yeah, he's the
of
goat.
all humanity.
He's the goat.
Yes.
Yeah. She orders everybody to get into places so that they can do the death scene. And watching her be this way turns him on so much because she is like being very commanding and realizes that she is meant more for leadership than he is, which is crazy because he is so self obsessed and petty. Like, this is insane. And it gets to the point of the death scene where Corey has to kiss her and he is fucking pissed. And he punches a pile of boxes and everything falls down and of course causes a very big commotion. So Cece's gonna go over and look, and as she's coming over,
Investigate behind the
yeah,
curtain.
he slaps his hand over her mouth and grabs her against his chest and tells her to calm down and be quiet, and maybe he'll think about helping her. She starts to fight against him because duh, but he tells her, you know how much I liked that slap last night. Keep it up and I might think you're flirting with me. All right, I'm still good. I know.
Can't find the lane.
Dude, after a certain point, there was no lane anymore. And I just was here. Someone yells out and asks if everything's okay. And he's like, you better tell them you're fine. And she says, yep, it's fine. Just a mess back here. And then he starts to touch her. And he thinks about the fact that, wow, you know what? He has never sucked a girl's tits in his life, but that is all he is thinking about now. Cece asks him what he's even doing there, and he tells her that you left too fast last night. I wanted to talk to you, and you never told me about your play, but I figured it out myself. She tells him that this is not talking, and she's actually pretty sure what he is doing is considered stalking. Valen tells her it's not really stalking, more like groping, but you belong to me, so I get a pass. Yes. He continues to play with her nipples while also having one hand on her throat. He starts to then touch her while choking her, and he just keeps squeezing tighter and tighter around her throat as he starts fingering her and tells her, remember last night when I told you that you needed to prove your worth to me or die, cupcake? I was not kidding. And right now, not only are you prettier than me and more interesting than me, but I just watched you kiss another man and tell me you're not mine. How do you think that's looking for you, Cece? She tries to tell him that Corey isn't another man, but he is literally her best friend, and things are not, and she is like not his just because he says they are. You actually have to own them, and he does not own her. He ends up squeezing her so hard that she passes out. His anger fades, and well, she will wake up in a few seconds. By then, it will be too late, and he will be so deep inside of her that she won't be able to force him out. And so he fucks her without a condom. And when they finish, she calls him out on not using a condom, and he just says, I wanted you full of my cum. And then asks her if she's on birth control. And she's like, yes, obviously. She straightens out her clothing and starts to wrap up rehearsal and tells everybody that rehearsal's canceled. She'll see everybody tomorrow. Yeah, she fucking pieces the fuck out. She's like, bye, leaves. And then Corey's still there. He's like, my girl is so emotional and I haven't given it to her lately. I will take care of things. And of course, like someone confronts them, they're like, you guys aren't dating. Like, no one said that. Valen steps out from behind the curtain and they realize that Cece and Valen were fucking because they definitely heard them. And now he has proven his point to her other friends. He just needs to figure out where Corey gets off claiming what belongs to him. But not before he meets with the head of the athletic department and the dean because he has an award ceremony to reschedule. Cece is back in her dorm and she was sleeping and she starts to hear a male talking and it's literally Valen in her room talking to Katie and asking a ton of questions about Cece and wanting to know more about her. Then he also asks Katie about Corey, and it is very obvious that Katie does not like him. And Katie says she also knows that he pretends that he and Cece are dating when she's not around. And it's weird, but Cece is very protective of him, and you can't even say anything about him because Cece says it's not true. Cece is hearing all of this because she's pretending to be asleep because she wants them to continue talking. And Valen knows that she is pretending to be asleep. And Katie is getting ready to leave. And he even calls her out for it. It's very funny. And Cece asks Valen what he's even doing there. And he tells her that I wanted to talk to you, like actually talk about what she would be willing to exchange for his help with the play. Cece asks what he thought she would be willing to exchange, and Valen just tells her, I want to eat your cunt. Those are the words that came out of this man's mouth.
It should be noted
That
that
he's
he
never
has
done
never
that.
done this or wanted to or even thought about it.
Yeah, because that is
But
literally all
now,
he can think about.
like an ice planet barbarian, it is all he can think
We're
about.
he is not a nice planet barbarian though.
No.
No, this is for more his pleasure than her pleasure. Let's be so real here, okay? But that's literally all he can think about. And he informs her, like, I'm not playing with you. I told you yesterday that you were mine and you better prove your worth. And I meant it. As he takes out a knife and tells her to get on the bed and open her thighs.
It escalated real fast.
So she does, and he presses the knife onto the side of her breast while he is eating her out. And she asks him what he's planning to do with the knife, and he tells her that he is going to cut his name into her skin because then she can't deny him owning her.
I
He,
mean, logical here, you know.
sure. He ends up carving a V into her thigh and he fingers her and eats her out until she comes. And then she begs him to stop.
I just want to say,
Mhm.
Crystal made a comment that we weren't at the loving and tasting your tears part of the year yet, but that don't worry, we would get there.
Oh, yeah, this was the don't worry, we got there.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
We're here now.
Yeah. So she asks him
We
to.
didn't, it didn't take very long.
Nah, nah. She comes and she does beg him to stop, but he does not. He only stops long enough
He
to pull his
loves
cock
the
out
taste of
because
her
he is also
tears.
going to fuck her. And he tells her to keep crying because the tears make him so hard. So then he fucks her and she squirts, and it surprises the both of them because she didn't know she could do that. When they're done, she asks about her play, and he just says, I'll see you at rehearsal. And she's like, what? What does that mean? But then he leaves. Time passes and it's Friday, and she goes to class like she's supposed to, but all she can think about is how sore she is from Valen. And she calls the facility for where her brother lives, and her brother asks if Corey is coming to visit. And it's interesting because she has not heard from Corey. And it's also very unusual. And like all of it's unusual. And she calls him, but it goes straight to voicemail, which is crazy. But when it's time for her last rehearsal, she gets to the auditorium and Valen is there, but he is literally miming how he fucked Cece in front of all of these people, which is insane. And like talking a person through, like lifting the legs, it's crazy. And I mean, they are all happy. And the girl, one of the girls is like, we're happy that you slutted it out because like it worked out so well for us because the show is back on. And Valen had the dean move the ceremony to Sunday. So that's great. She keeps insisting that they are not together and not a couple, and they only fucked. And now that he did the right thing and gave her the time slot in the auditorium back, and he just says, listen, since you won't let me play Romeo, I will see if I can like pencil the play in and the tickets are already sold out, so hopefully I can scalp one. And she's a little shocked that like all the tickets are gone, but I already thought that it was sold out. But anyways, that's besides the point.
I think
I
it
thought they
said
had
nearly sold out at the beginning,
Oh, got you. Anyways,
but
she
then they probably had to refund everybody originally, so it was probably
Oh,
like
yeah.
now we're last
Well,
minute selling
well,
tickets
we know
again.
where all the tickets went, so that was a whole insane bit, by the way. That so, anyways, she asks where Corey is, and instead of answering her, Valen asks her to be his Valentine because he's never had one before. And after everything he did for her, he thinks that she should at least buy him a box of conversation hearts. Everyone is realizing that Corey is still not there, and Cece says like she called him earlier and his phone was off, but they're gonna give him some time, and everyone's wondering if they should just go on without him. But Cece says we don't have a Romeo, and Valen's like I'll play Romeo. He does not know the lines, and she has decided she has had enough, and she is going to go pull Corey out of bed, and they are going to rehearse this fucking play, and she heads to go get Corey. Of course, Valen tries to follow her out, but she insists that he needs to stay because she needs to go by herself. Once she finally gets there, she knocks on the door and Corey opens the door and he's in his pajamas and says, "What the fuck do you want? Didn't blocking you give the hint?" And she's a little taken aback. She didn't realize that he had blocked her, which I mean, I guess if the phone's going directly to voicemail, you probably don't think that.
Right.
And he tells her that he is done pretending with her just for her to fuck some guy at rehearsal like a slut when she is supposed to be with him. And he blocked her because she is not fucking worth it. And he tells her he was never friends with her brother. Literally, the only reason that he lied and said he was to get close to her. And that, in the end, it was just so easy. And it was just, he took that opportunity, but he never expected it to be so fucking hard to get to the next step because he's never met a fat girl who thinks she's so great and thinks so highly of themselves. She asks him, "What is the like ideal situation?" And he says, "Well, come inside and we'll talk about it." Absolutely fucking not. If someone insulted me like that, I would be like, "Bitch, bye." And we'll talk. And
Yeah, her brother like is in a institution and basically doesn't have much for memory and whatnot, but this guy came to her and said
oh,
like
I'm
he's
friends
her
with him.
brother's age, right? He's her friends with him, and she wasn't that confused when her brother acted really strange because he didn't have a memory. You know what I mean? Oh, so he must not remember anybody. And at least he has friends that are there and supporting of him. And so she's spent her the rest of her life protecting and going out of her way to help this man, this boy, because she thought that he was this great help and important person to her brother. And like Katie said, she defended him in every way, but
He's a piece of shit.
right, it
Yeah.
was all nothing.
Yep. And he says, "I'll still play Romeo for you if you're agreeable," and that he has never met anyone more desperate or fame hungry than her. And he knows that she would do anything for the spotlight. And this makes her snap. I would have snapped way before this conversation. And she smacks him across
I
the
think it was
face.
just building.
I know, but. And she smacks him across the face. But what she does not anticipate is him backhanding her
Yeah.
across the face. And then he
And
raises
she
his
has that moment
Yep.
in her head of Valen Thorn. Well, you're gonna hit. Be prepared to be hit back.
Yeah. And he raises his hand to do it again, and she kicks him in the balls and then leaves. And she's very upset. And she's even thinking that, like, why is it that Valen suddenly seems like someone she wants to run to when she knows better on every level? By the way, Valen sees her running off, holding her cheek because this man followed her. And he is pissed because this douchebag just hurt her. This lying piece of shit has been using her for years. So he's going to have a little bit of a conversation with
His
this man.
woman, and by extension, him.
Yeah. He basically beats the living fuck out of him, grabs him by the broken hand, drags him out of his dorm into the hallway, continues to beat the shit out of him, pushes him backwards down a set of stairs, letting his head bang on each and every single stair until he is unconscious. Then he finds two doors. One of them leads out, so he drags him out and he tells Corey, who is very much dying and choking on his own vomit, that she will love me back. And then he smashes his head and the face with a brick until
Because
there is
Corey kept
nothing.
making fun of him, saying, like, you think she's gonna love you?
Yeah.
Like, that's laughable.
Yeah, smashes his face with a brick until there is nothing left to recognize. And when it's all over and he is covered in blood, it reminds him of the first night he met Cece when she threw her drink on him. And then he makes a phone call to a dude named Pax and asks if his brother still takes care of problems pretty much.
I'm assuming this had to do with the main series
I'm
too.
assuming so. And he tells the dude he beat a kid to death outside of his own dorm and he needs to have someone come get him. He takes Corey's phone out of his pocket, unblocks Cece, and sends her a message saying that he is sorry and he's not going to be there for dress rehearsal, but he will be at the play. Instead of heading to the frat, he heads back to his own house. And he lives in a giant fucking mansion, by the way, and his parents probably couldn't even hear him talk if they were there. And he heads to his room and takes a shower and change. And he gets a text message from Pax when he's out of the shower that just lets him know that it was all taken care of. He texts Cece and asks her if she's okay because he had a weird feeling about her, which he's obviously lying. Like, he knows everything that happened. Cece asks how he got the number and to lose it because she is not a fuck toy and she is done being used by that. Being used. Valen thinks to himself, she was hurt and I left her and she needed somebody and I did not go see her. And he squeezes his phone until it cracks and then he throws it into a wall. But you know what? He will always be there for her now, whether she wants him to be there or not. Cece is his and no one will ever touch her again. And just so you know, I did not realize where the rest of this fucking shit was going because then it gets even more unhinged. I should have just rode the unhinged wagon because shit got even more weird. Cece thinks that her cheek does not look nearly as bad as she thought it would the next day, but it is now Valentine's Day and she still has not brought herself to answer Corey's text message. Their rehearsal is at noon. The show starts at 7. And when she gets to the theater, only half of her cast is there. And of course, Corey does not show up. Well, we all know why he is not there. But by the time 6:30 rolls around, the theater is packed. People are buzzing with excitement. And she just can't believe how fucking full it is. And why are they all excited? The last time she saw a full house was during her freshman year, and it wasn't nearly like this. A half an hour to curtain, everyone is queuing up everything. Everything's getting ready. Lights, blah, 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 blah. I don't do plays, so I'm assuming this is perfect timing. 30 minutes before curtain. Sure, sounds great, guys. Valen
For the
shows
record, we have to be there 2 hours early tomorrow,
you. No, thank
if
you.
that makes you feel better.
Awful.
And then next week for the festival, we're there for 12 hours.
Corey's still not there, and Valen shows up and tells her that Corey wouldn't come, so I am playing Romeo. And he tells her, "Look, I learned the lines for you. It was important to you, and I could not let you down." And he recites them perfectly. Turns out he actually has a headset in his ear. And someone is feeding him the lines. And he goes listen, I know how to kiss, I know how to sword fight, and I'm going to repeat whatever the guy in my earpiece tells me to at the right time. This will all work out. Please just let me make it up to you. It's Valentine's Day, and this is all my fault." So he agrees to be Romeo in this play. She gets a text from Katie saying that she is there with the person, but they can't get in, and that her ticket was no good and she has no idea what the hell is going on. Of course, Cece also
But
has,
they're about to go on, so
yeah,
nothing
Cece
she
has
can worry
no
about
idea.
now.
Right, Cece has no idea what's going on either. As the music plays in the opening monologue and it is being performed, she's just so convinced that this can't work and that this is the stupidest idea she has ever heard, but she has learned not to underestimate Valen. The play is going really well, and the sets move a few more times, and she performs with all her heart, and I mean, they're doing really great. When it gets to the point of Romeo begging Friar Lawrence to marry them in secret, the wedding itself is supposed to take place offstage, but instead, a new bit of set design that she has never seen before rolls in, and it is a hand painted altar with the names Cece and Valen in a heart. And instead of Friar Lawrence, an actual priest steps out. And Valen just says, "Look, it's time for the real show. I was planning to help you days ago, but after what happened with Corey last night, I knew I needed to do something big to prove that you are mine and I will never throw you away. I have taken care of everything and we are going to be so happy together. She asks how he knew what happened with Corey yesterday. And he just says, listen, Father DeMarco, this is the bride. And she's like, I am not the bride. This is a play. What the hell? No, actually, they're going to get actual married. He has a marriage license. They have a priest. And he's like, we have a lot more than two witnesses. This is perfectly legal, Cupcake. You are mine forever. Even if your pretty thigh is missing a few little letters. Cece tells him, I don't want to marry you. And he goes, I know that I'm not crazy, but I realize, I realized something after I watched that fucker hit you. You need me, and I need you. And I will never let you be alone again. Just so you know, this is not where I thought things were going at all. And this is fucking insane. They do end up actually getting married, but this is after he takes the knife out and presses it to her throat, and she says, I do. And he kind of like, he marks her skin a little bit and he says, you know,
With
I fucking,
an auditorium full of people,
uh huh.
and it's clear she's under duress, mind
Guess
you.
what? It's not over, guys. It's not over. He goes, you know, I fucking love you, don't you? And he presses the knife deeper to emphasize his words, and she is dripping blood. And he tells her, Happy Valentine's Day. He has each of the witnesses sign the marriage. It's like his friend, a few of his friends. They sign the marriage certificate and he tells them to mail it immediately because he does not want Cece to intervene. And then this man tells her the show's not over. And he is going to fuck her in front of everybody in this auditorium. But there are frat brothers from years past and present and all their wives in seats. And yeah, he fucks her in front of everybody and they're all watching. And he says, You wanted to
Like,
be a star.
I'm
And
sorry, what is this? A society like dinner or
and
something?
he's like, you wanted to be a star, and that's exactly what you are. Don't you love it? And of course, some people drop to their knees and begin servicing their partners, and others start to fuck in front of them. And Valen tells everybody to sit the fuck down. This is not an orgy. This is a wedding.
And then no, they don't all listen. So oh, I can't wait to just fuck during their next event.
Yeah. And then we have an epilogue. And it is 6 weeks later, and they are in France visiting Valen's grandmother as one of the last stops on their honeymoon. He was drafted to a top NFL team. He put her brother in a much nicer facility, and she has options that she could never have imagined. She realizes that he probably definitely killed Corey. She had gotten questioned by the police over the phone because he was officially reported missing a few days after the play, and he has not been seen or heard from since. And then the grandmother is going to teach her how to make macarons because that is what she really likes because she mentions it way earlier. And she thinks that he is the sweetest man on the planet, in addition to all the other stuff. But you know what? She loves him. And that was fucking crazy.
Wild,
I,
a wild time.
at no point towards the end did I know what was actually going to happen next. I was like, okay, this is pretty straightforward. Man's gonna, I got that. And then I was like, I don't, what? Excuse me?
I did expect there to be more murder with the whole
I did
knives.
too because there was only one murder. I mean,
Yeah.
the knife only came out a couple of times and it was to her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those were his knives and then he gave her
And he
kisses.
didn't fuck her with the knife, so you're welcome.
The little things in life, guys. Little things.
Who
Oh boy.
was your favorite character?
I really liked Katie
Yeah.
for the brief period of time she was in there, but it was because she was a good roommate, you know. She was definitely
Yeah.
trying to protect her and be like, please don't like
Yeah.
don't. And she
Yeah.
was trying to like get Cece to see how shitty
So
Corey
also
was.
his best friend was so interesting too because
I just call
not
him.
as a favorite, but just so interesting more
Yeah,
because
as a
like
character.
what the fuck are you doing, man? And what is
Yeah.
this loyalty that you have? I want to know why.
Yeah. How
Who
about
is
you?
your
Who was
least?
your favorite?
I said I agreed.
Oh, it's like, who was your favorite?
Yeah, who was your least?
Oh, God. Well, obviously Corey, because he sucks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the school.
Dude. Like Corey, yeah, Corey.
And I love education, but like, damn, the school sucked. Like, what the fuck?
You know.
Hmm. Good Lord. So, Amazon gives us a 4.1 and Goodreads a 3.7.
What did you read?
Oof. Probably like a 3.
I think that's what I rated it to.
Like, I think I did.
It was a few books ago.
Yes, you also gave it a 3.
I rated it 3 stars. Also,
Yeah.
it was interesting. It was unhinged. There were some,
Questionable parts.
yes,
Yeah. How about your pepper, my dear?
jalapeno.
Samesies. Yeah. And honestly, and I know I don't like it, but if they had done the knife fucking, I probably would have rated it a little
Oh, well,
higher in the
yeah,
spicy scale.
absolutely, because that,
Because
you know,
yes, it does. It is not my favorite,
no,
but
but it takes it up a
it
notch.
it's yes. They were fucked up
Survivability.
people.
Yeah.
Survivability, I don't know.
Yeah.
I am I don't know.
I I
Like I
just
have anger problems, but I don't think I have anger problems in order to confront this psychotic, self-absorbed man.
I was gonna say I just wouldn't make the same
I
choices
think, yeah. So then I guess we would probably be okay because I wouldn't make those same
because I wouldn't
choices.
go after and confront that dude, and I wouldn't,
No,
you know what I mean?
no. And honestly, if someone had been telling me that my male best friend was being like that, I
Mm.
wouldn't have been defending this person.
Mm.
And that motherfucker would have regretted smacking me in the face. I can tell you right now.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, so yes, I'd be fine. I just wouldn't make the same choices. So that was our,
February specials.
yeah. And next up is March, baby.
Yes, and we are diving into the ocean. We're gonna
Yes, we
have
are.
Mer March.
Yes, yes. We decided to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, this year is all about unpredictability,
Aren't we always?
if not evidenced by the fact that January has lasted 7 years.
Yeah.
And February, we did murder. So,
It's been 84
84
years.
years. Why are we these people? Oh my gosh. But that wraps up our month of murder.
We'll probably visit murder again. Stay tuned
We typically do.
and keep reading.
And keep it smutty.
Okay. Oh.
That was concerning.
My life is concerned.
So isn't mine. Always, every day.
Strong. Shut up, you little bitch. Strong, sharp, a little brutal.
Mentions of mental health topics. I don't know why I said it that way. Try that again. And also, this was kind of easy to just like bloop, 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 bloop through. Realizes that she is meant for more the spotlighting leadership. She is meant more for leadership.